What's going on, guys? The Barber Phil here, back again with another haircut tutorial. And in today's tutorial we are going to be going over the infamous half attack system that I have been talking a lot about lately in my tutorials. I wanted to do a little more in-depth, more real-time clips instead of sped up some, and talk about the pros and cons, things that I've noticed since using it. And so make sure you guys stick around to the end, see how we got from point A to point B. Alright, so the first thing I did, as usual, when it comes to hair that's a little bit longer, I saturated the hair really well just to try to get all the memory of what the hair was doing before we're going to start this cut out of the way. Then I'm going to comb it in the style that he is going for, which is a comb over with the hard part. I combed from front to back, and then you can start to see where, similar to what I've mentioned in block graduation for, if you comb that hair from front to back, you'll see where some of the hair wants to fall down towards the side. I did that. I found that particular kind of groove of hair, and that's where I parted it. That's where its natural hard part wants to fall. We're coming through here with the FXs. We're tapping that top line, and now I'm going to use the comb to really hold that top hair out of the way. And we're going to tap the bottom side of this hard part. I've said it before, it's been quite a while though, because I haven't done too many hard part comb overs in a while, but there's always two sides to a line, so you're going to hit the top and the bottom, and then we're going to get right into cutting the top. Alright, so the more I got into this haircut, the more I realized that he's probably going to definitely have to use product to get the style that he wants without his hair looking too ridiculous, because his hair did want to stick out in a couple different areas that I think are going to cause some problems if they're not maintained with product. His bangs in the front want to grow forward, they don't want to really grow off to the side. So there are a couple things he's going to have to work with here, but we're going to go through here. I started in that back left corner. I'm pulling sections and I'm point cutting everything, nothing blunt cut straight across. And then once I get over towards the right side where that overhang is going to be, we're going to turn our fingers a little bit more away from horizontal across the top of the head like they are right now to perpendicular on the side of the head, and kind of over direct that hair so that we can maintain length that blends off onto that right side, but we are shortening it up at the same time. And as always, guys, when you're cutting the top, make sure that you pull some hair from the previous section for the current section that you're fixing to cut, so that you can stay on track, and make sure that you have a nice even cut on top. Not a lot of peaks and valleys, other than maybe sections that you got point cutting in. There might be some ups and downs there, but if you were always pulling from the previous section, you shouldn't get too far off track. Alright, so the first step that I'm going to do to kick off this half attack system is clear out the sides. My choice of clipper here is the Andy Super ZR, and I'm using the 3.5 detachable blade. We're just going to completely remove all the bulk on the side. Now, what I have found is you can get the same system perfected by using either an open 2 guard or a closed 3 guard on the sides. You're just going to go flush to the head, up and off at the parotid ridge. It's just going to basically debulk the entire side, get it set up for the system, and we can step right into the next section, which is picking out where you want your bald line. We're doing kind of a mid fade here, so I am going to drop it back in the back just a tad bit to match the round of his head. And I did give us a little bit of a downward arch in the front, just so that we can get a nice sharp C-cup at the end. I'm using that 5/0 blade to tap that bald line in, and then to immediately scoop out the bulk at the bottom. Then I'm going to come right in behind that with my Ergos, and I'm doing a full 1-inch open section. I've found that putting in a wider open section when given the opportunity helps stretch your fades out just a tad bit more. And then after doing the initial open section, you close that lever up halfway, and you go about halfway to 3/4 of the way up through your initial open section. And then when you close that lever all the way up, At least for me, my Ergos are they are able to take out that bottom line that we tapped in for our bald section by using that 5/0, and the open section there is pretty much done. So the next step in the half attack system is grabbing the 1.5 guard, opening that lever up to halfway, and you're going to go about halfway to 3/4 of the way through that initial section that you did with either a 3.5 blade, a 2 open, or a 3 guard closed. So go about halfway to 3/4 of the way up through that section. Make sure that you flick out at the top just like you do with any other time that you're fading on the side. You always want to be kind of flicking out so that you're not putting in any harsh lines. And then immediately what you have after that is one line left to take out, which is in between the open section and your previous 1.5 section you just did there. And what you're going to use to melt this line away is that magic eraser, which is the half guard, and you're also going to have that half open. So you've got a half open 1.5 guard, and then you've got a half open half guard, and that line literally just melts away. All you do is you start your guard just a tad bit below that line, you flick right at the line and right through it. As soon as that guard gets past that line, you're just going to kind of flick out away from it. The line's going to completely melt away with pretty much no effort at all, and you've gotten left with a pretty nice fade there that you can come back in later in detail. I'm not saying that one pass through on every side and this fade is flawless by any means. No, you always can go in and detail your fades out more, but it's a very quick and efficient way to get the initial start of a fade down. We use the FXs there to get the back line on the beard cleaned up and then his C-cup. Then we're going to come in using the Ergos and do a little bit of clipper over comb and get some of that overhang cleaned up just a tad bit. So once again guys, same steps. You're going to take that 3.5 blade or 3 closed or 2 open, come flush to the side of the head and then up and off at the parietal ridge. You can use the technique that I've been showing where you do the comb flat to the head, and where that comb wants to start separating from the round of the head, that should be where that weight line is going to want to sit. So you should be able to pay attention when you're running that guard through there, that you'll notice where your guard and your clipper want to start separating from the head. And then we're going to come in here once again, 5/0 or your trimmer, whatever you like to set in your bald line with. Pick it out, make sure it does kind of match off to the same side as the right side or whatever side you started with. That only applies really if you do one side, the back, and then the other side separate. If you do all your fade all the way around at the same time, then you should that part there would already be done. Once again though, you come back in with your Ergos, full 1-inch open section, making sure that you flick out at the top. Then you go to half open with that lever, halfway to 3/4 of the way up through the original all the way open section. Then close that lever all the way up, flick at that bottom line, and you may have to work at it a little bit. Sometimes in the back of the head with the indentions in the back, it does present a little bit more of an issue, but just make sure that you're, if you need to, kind of stretch that skin out a little bit, and it shouldn't be too much of an issue. So right after that open section is done, you're going to grab your 1.5 guard, and you're going to have that lever halfway open, and you're going to flick up into whatever that original section was that you did. Like I said, there's a couple different options that you can go with: the 3.5 blade, 3 guard closed, 2 guard open. You're going to flick that 1.5 guard up into that, and then the only thing that should be left over is that middle line that you're going to take out by using your half guard, half open. And once again guys, I promise you, I'm trying to leave these clips as in real time as I can, just to show you how easy these sections and these lines come together. I'm still have yet to really find a hair texture that it doesn't really work on. I used it on one of my clients that I've done a previous video on. It's the kid that had the Turtle Beach kind of indention from wearing his Turtle Beach headset. It's a little bit older video, but if you guys want to go check it out, go right ahead. I just cut him recently. He does have real dark, coarse Hispanic hair, and I tried it on him, and honestly, it was the best that I've gotten his hair to look. As far as the fade goes, he's got some indentions in the back of his head, and just banged through the steps, and everything came out better than I had been cutting it. So I did just kind of test my theory out at the shop the last couple of days. I showed the system to some of the guys at the shop in person instead of trying to pick it up off a YouTube video. One thing that they all came back to me and basically said was that they did definitely feel like they got through their steps faster. Some of them, they're really used to using the one guard in their system. So what I basically said was that, by all means, come back in, use that one guard, detail out what you think you need to detail. But if you find yourself in a pinch, especially, I had one of the guys that I work with, he got behind on a haircut, and so his next client came in. It was already a pretty simple haircut anyways, but he pretty much implemented the system, got that haircut knocked out pretty quick, and got himself back on track on his schedule. Now, I don't say use this system to rush haircuts by any means, but I do think it is a system that minimizes the steps and the guidelines and things of that nature. It's literally, I guess, a 5-step process, and one of those 5 steps is the bald line, which I guess you can call that a step if you want to, but it's literally debulk the sides, set the bald line in, 1.5 guard, open section, half guard. So it's a pretty easy step, minimal things. You don't have to memorize a bunch of different guards. It's literally 3 and that's it. So hopefully you guys can learn something from that and maybe implement it into your own system. So as you guys can tell, this ridge is pretty boxy here. We're just cleaning that up with clipper over comb, making sure that it's a nice smooth transition up through here. And then I freehanded the real sharp point of that, the hangover or his shelf there. Just kind of clean that up a little bit. And we're gonna fade the beard out. So we're gonna start with that lever all the way closed, then use it half open. And then I used the Babyliss half guard. You can probably use a closed Wahl Premium 1 guard, or even the Wahl Premium half guard, half open, or you can take a 1.5 guard and you can go down with the growth of the hair. And at least on that beard length, a lot of that stuff can be faded out pretty quick. You can call that a beard service if you want to, and if you do, that's fine. But I definitely don't like to let my clients walk out with a real harsh line at the top of their beard just because they didn't request a beard trim. I want them to walk out looking cleaned up and fresh and a finished product. So here's the before, guys. As y'all can tell, my man definitely needed a haircut, so we give him that mid fade on the sides with the messy comb over and a hard part on top using the half attack system. I would greatly appreciate it if you guys would do me a solid, hit me up in that comment section. Let's get some interaction on this video. That's one of the ways that we can get into the algorithm and get this video out to more people. Hit me up in there and let me know what you guys think about the system. If you've tried it, if you haven't tried it, if you like it, if you don't like it, if you're gonna try it, let me know what you guys think about it. Make sure though that you also, if you're watching this video and you're not subscribed, go ahead and smash that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, that way you never miss another video from me. I put out content every Sunday and every Wednesday, so you're gonna get plenty of content from me, so I would appreciate that subscribe, guys. We are at 1.8K. We're gonna get to 2K here before too long. New shop at Clutch here in Owensboro is gonna be opening up in a few weeks. I'm gonna try to get some clips of the new shop. This thing is going to be lit. So you guys make sure you stay tuned for that. Anyways, guys, I'm the Barber Phil. I'll catch you on the next video. I'm out.